This footage is from a few years ago when a farm I have got permission to shoot over sowed a field of barley out right beside my home. Now unfortunately they only done this for the 1 year, which was a shame because it was literally within walking distance of my front gate. But thankfully I was able to use the opportunity and set up for a morning's decoying. I usually start pretty early in the morning and try and get everything set up before the birds really start arriving. I build the hide first, which as you can see is just basically a 4x4 foot box made up of 4 hide poles pushed into the ground and then some garden canes or stakes attached to that horizontally to make a box shape with some black insulating tape. It basically helps make the whole thing rigid and gives me something to hang the hide netting off. I usually use about 3 camouflage nets. I use 2 layers of netting on the walls of the hide to help cut down as much light coming into the hide as possible so the birds don't see any movement as I raise the rifle for the shot. Then I throw a camouflage net over the roof, which is supported by 2 6-foot garden canes which go crisscross corner to corner to help support it. Now if you're using a shotgun you'd want to leave the roof open so you can stand directly up out of the hide to take your shot, but for the air rifle you want as much concealment as possible. Then I camouflage this with as much weeds in that as I can get. Nettles, thistles, sticky weed, whatever's growing along the hedgerow. Just be careful what you cut or pull that it's not going to leave a hole in the hedge, otherwise the farmer might send you packing. The decoy setup can be as simple or as complicated as you like. I use full-bodied flock decoys because I find they're a lot more lifelike than the shell decoys, and I want the birds to decoy straight down into the field and land for a shot rather than just flying by within range for a shotgun. I usually place these out in a semicircular U or V-shaped pattern, roughly pointed into the wind. Now there's not too much wind this morning, so I have them sitting higgly-piggly here and there. I'm also trying something different in setting up 2 small decoy patterns either side of the hide. The main point is that you have to leave an open area in front of the hide within range either of a shotgun or air rifle for incoming birds to land in. Now once you're set up and in the hide, if you notice that the birds are landing too far away from you or too much to the left or right, then you need to get out and move your decoy pattern either closer to the hide or a little to the left or right to get the incoming birds to land where you want them to get a clean shot at them within a sensible range. Again, whether it's with the air rifle or a shotgun. Now, I wouldn't by any means call myself an expert pigeon decoyer, but if you get the pattern right, there is something very satisfying when you can watch pigeons floating in from the distance when they have a whole field of stubble to land in, only to pitch right into your decoys in front of the hide. And that's probably why I and so many other people enjoy decoying wood pigeons. Oh, and if you noticed the bungalow in the field behind my hide, don't worry about it. It was at that time still in construction and nobody was living in it. You may not have noticed at the time, but as I was selecting an area to set the hide up, I picked a spot which had a natural wee hollow in the hedge, so that now I have the hide built and I'm into it, I can push my back into the hedge a wee bit deeper. It basically gives me a wee bit more room in the hide, plus it throws you into the shadow a wee bit better as well. But I get my face veil on and get the old Super 10 loaded up and ready to go. I also have 3 to 4 holes cut in the hide netting in front of me, just big enough so I can see through and get the muzzle of the rifle through for a clear shot. And I try to reposition the hide every time I use it so that the holes line up again, so I don't have to keep cutting holes in the netting. First couple of birds in this morning, but they're a wee bit fidgety. Thankfully one finally lands, a young bird without any white neck bars. And I miss. Not a good start to the morning. The crows and rooks have started to settle into the field, probably at least 200 yards away. Too far for the air rifle. The farm itself is probably getting on to 300 yards away, but I'll only be shooting into the ground about 30 yards in front of me with a 15 foot-pound air rifle, so there should be no risk of ricochets getting to the farm. But a pigeon lands to my right, which draws my attention, another young bird. And I miss again. I think I'm getting just a little bit annoyed with myself. This time I make good contact with its head about 20 yards away, and I have the first one in the bag. Another adult bird this time lands almost exactly in the same place. I've noticed this happening on quite a few occasions in the past, where a second bird has come in and landed almost right beside a bird you've just shot. I guess it goes to prove that a dead bird makes a far better decoy than a plastic one. Though if the birds roll onto their back in an unnatural position, then you're best leaving the hide like I had to do this time and setting them up so that they make a far better decoy. I have been asked in the past quite a few times why I always go for a headshot when decoying. Well, here's a perfect example. The bird's sitting in the stubble so deeply you can't really see much of the heart and lungs, so the headshot's the better option. The local hooded crows have come down the feed, but they keep their distance, and at about 100 yards is a bit further than I would like to try with the air rifle. Another young pigeon, as it has no white neck bars. I'd prefer to shoot the adults as they've got a bit more meat on them, but beggars can't be choosers. The birds seem to like landing on the right hand side now, and they're keeping their distance out to 25-30 yards, but thankfully it's still within range of the air rifle. This bird's getting close to 35 yards away, and I missed to the right with the first shot. The second one's closer, but it still only plucks a few feathers from its neck and its way by. I think there's a bit of a breeze building, and it's starting to affect the pellet at that range. I go out and have a wee bit of a tidy up and shuffle things about a wee bit to see if I can get the birds to land a wee bit closer to the hide again to make things easier. And it's not long before I get another opportunity. This time the shot's much more accurate. Looks like I'm not the only one hunting pigeons out here. A buzzard comes, looking for an easy meal. He's probably wondering why there's no fight in that pigeon. It's already dead. Unfortunately, the lens in the action camera had steamed up a wee bit, so this is the best footage I have of it. I went out and left what was left of the wood pigeon, as no other wood pigeons are going to decoy with the buzzard sitting in the middle of the pattern. He almost had the thing decapitated. I noticed some movement in the hedgerow at the bottom of the field, about 80 yards away. I don't think it was a rabbit. I'm pretty sure the way it was lolloping along there that it was a young hare, a leveret. Looks like the birds were starting to decoy nicely again. You can see they're adult birds with the white neck bars. And another pigeon in the bag. A magpie is always a nice addition to the bag. But unfortunately, I'm not quick enough. Oh, look who's back again for seconds. Mr. Buzzard again, if it is the same one. These birds have become more and more common over the years in Northern Ireland. That's probably why they call them the common buzzard. They are a member of the hawk family. And no, I cannot shoot it because it's a bird of prey and all birds of prey are protected in the UK. Wood pigeons, on the other hand, are fair game all year round. Dead as a doornail. Well, fun though it was while it lasted, the pigeons finally dried up, so I decided to call it a day. It was a wee bit of a meagre bag, I admit, with some very frustrating misses, but at least it was better than sitting in the house behind a computer screen while the rain teems down the window outside, as it's doing at the minute while I narrate this. But tomorrow's always another day, hey.